Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 15th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. Check out the complex low-pressure system across the Gulf of Alaska, spreading this precipitation into the Pacific Northwest over the next few days, and lots more to come. We got to watch this because we got a pattern change coming as we go through the end of February, and it looks like we might be dealing with some flooding concerns if what the models are showing is right. A lot of precipitation incoming here through the second half of the month, and we'll take a look at what is going on now. We're not done with wintry precipitation, especially east of the mountains. Cascades of Washington, Oregon, winter storm warnings in effect. Idaho, Montana, some additional rounds of snowfall coming as well. Now, taking a look at the winter storm warnings across a lot of the Cascades, you see Seattle, Portland, Washington coast, Oregon coast, Willamette Valley, all above freezing. Not so for eastern Washington, Wenatchee, Spokane at 25, Missoula at 25. Boise just went above freezing there at 33, though. But there are additional rounds of snowfall coming east of the mountains and some freezing rain and some pretty hefty snowfall amounts for the Cascades starting this morning. You can see the precipitation already spreading up across western Washington, western Oregon, and southwest BC. So heads up for this. Every single year, these waves sweep people away, and it's already happened a couple times this year. So don't turn your back on the ocean. Be very careful out there, and mind your distance from the ocean there, especially if you got pets and children near the water. And that goes through Monday, February 17th. So here's the Seattle National Weather Service winter storm warnings. That is for areas above 2,500 feet. This starts this morning, 10 a.m. through 10 a.m. on Monday. Some places getting up over a foot of snowfall. Same thing for the Oregon Cascades as well. Weekend winter weather. Look at Spokane, additional round of snowfall coming in here. Ritzville, Moses Lake, lesser amounts. Columbia River Valley down here, Washington, Oregon, Boise, Arlington, and Tri-Cities, generally maybe an inch or less. Same thing with Yakima. But once you get across the higher terrain of the Idaho Rocky Mountains and Montana Rocky Mountains, definitely more. Look at that. Look out past probably 10 to 17 inches or so. And again, Idaho, Panhandle, western Montana, additional rounds of moderate to light to moderate snowfall as we go through Tuesday morning. Winter travel conditions will persist, so heads up for that. And we got ice and snow, so check it out. There's some freezing rain potential here as well. Look at Hermiston, a tenth of an inch. Tri-Cities, maybe a tenth, 2/10 of an inch there as well. And again, you can see the higher terrain snowfall. Look at that toll gate, 18 to 24 it looks like there. And yeah, if you're traveling back and forth on highway or Interstate 84, watch out for that snow as we go on in through the day Monday. Taking a look at Boise, Idaho, 10.1 inches of snow for the month of February. 2 inches of snow still on the ground. Let's take a look at Portland. 3 inches of snow for the month of February. Still 2 inches of snow on the ground. It'll be changing today, of course, because things have gone above freezing. Here's SeaTac, 2.3 on the month. No snow on the ground right now. I can attest to that. And there's Spokane. Look at this. Still 4 inches of snow on the ground. 8.6 so far for the month of February. The Pacific Northwest has been quite chilly for the month of February. Now, taking a look here, a nice affordable home weather station. If you want to do your own home weather observations, great smartphone app. All solar powered, all wireless, ultrasonic anemometer. Help support the channel as well if you click on the link down below to save 10% off. So 2-meter temperatures. Again, we kind of went over this a little bit here, but again, you can see how things are definitely much slower to warm up there east of the mountains. But, we're done with the winter weather here for Seattle, Portland, Eugene, Washington, Oregon coast, southwest BC, at least for the time being. Maybe Old Man Winter will pay us another visit here as we go through March. We'll see how that goes. No promises on that, but you can't rule out some cooler weather trying to make another pass at the Pacific Northwest. So if we take a look at what is going on here, these are hot off the presses. European on the left, GFS on the right, 18,000 feet, 500 millibars, general trough and ridge position. Here goes our system as we are going through the day. Today, tomorrow, and on in through Monday. A transient ridge comes through. Another system starts to swing through the Pacific Northwest. And you can see pretty good a model agreement here as we go through about hour 135 or so. But then as we start to go out a little bit more, the GFS a little bit more dominant with some of the ridging here, but the European, definitely showing much more wetter solutions as we go. Even though the GFS is still fairly wet, the European has been kind of persistently so over the last few model runs and showing a lot of precipitation for Seattle, some of the higher terrain. But the same point, GFS is pretty wet as well. So I'll show you some of these totals coming up here. But you see we're going to be quite active, it looks like, as we go through the second half of February. And then taking a look at that hot off the press European, there's the Washington State and Oregon there's the Hawaiian Islands. You could see this precipitation is going to be ongoing much of the day tomorrow for much of the region. We are now into Monday morning, still wrapping up some of that precipitation amounts, and not even much of a break there as we go on the next system, just bearing down on us as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. That could be a fairly windy system. We got to watch that one here because there's a pretty good pressure gradient with that. So I'm going to pay more attention to that tomorrow. We'll look at that on the GFS here in a moment as well. But there's another pretty robust frontal system. It's going to keep us wet for much of this week. Then we get a decent break. It looks like maybe on Thursday, at least for some areas. I kind of even hesitate to say decent because there's definitely going to be clouds flowing across the region. And then again, precipitation coming through next weekend. Look at this atmospheric river bouncing around across Pacific Northwest with these low pressure systems moving in towards western BC. Another robust low way off into fantasy land there with just a never ending barrage of storm systems back up into the region. That would definitely bring some flooding concerns if what the European has been showing here for the last several runs, does verify, and we'll be watching that closely day by day. In the meantime, let's take a look here. You can see over the next 60 hours or so what the Doppler radar may look like. You can see the snowfall coming here as we go through this afternoon east of the mountains here. Olympics, Vancouver Island. Of course, the higher terrain will be snowfall, the Cascades as well. Rain for Seattle as we go through this evening. Rain for Portland coming in here. You see the frontal system swooping across the area. And as we go through tonight, you can kind of see that midnight on into early Sunday morning, some of that freezing rain flying out there as well. And again, multiple rounds of snowfall as we go all the way on in through Monday. You can see finally we put an end to that system, and then according to the European, there wasn't much of a break for the next one, so we'll watch that again tomorrow. 24-hour snow Kuchera ratio. You can see again, Spokane getting a pretty decent amount here, and some of the Columbia Basin getting a bit of snowfall there. And then we scroll on in towards Monday here. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, okay. So this is the 24 hours starting right there. That's what wrapping up on Sunday morning. So again, excuse me, pretty good amounts coming here for the Cascades, and for Spokane, for example, you're getting another 3 to 6 inches, it looks like. So yeah, enjoy that winter weather while it's here. 80 meter wind speed. This is a North American model, maybe a little bit blustery as we go through this evening here across some of the Cascades and some of the coastal areas. Southeast winds across the Northwest Washington interior, up the Strait of Georgia, coast of Vancouver Island, but nothing too crazy. But we do have windstorm potential as we go through the second half of the month of February. As we saw, the European was throwing some pretty interesting low pressure systems. Also takes is one of those to take a favorable track, and we could get some strong winds. So taking a look at total precipitation in inches. So this is hot off the presses here, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through this and you'll get the gist of what I'm talking about. There's the GFS on the right, and we keep going all the way. Frog in my throat today. Hope I'm not getting a cold. But we continue off in towards the end of the month here, and look at the European just continue to bombard. Look at Seattle would be at 5 inches of rain by the time we get to the morning of the 27th. And the GFS is fairly wet as well. The higher terrain of Southwest BC, the Olympic Mountains, Vancouver Island, all the way down into Oregon as well. I mean, you're just kind of bullseyed here as we go through the end of the month. So yeah, we'll be watching this very closely and breaking it down day by day, system by system. And you can really see that rain shadowing effect on the GFS here on the right as well. So if we look at the European ensemble mean as of yesterday afternoon, and again, the ensemble mean pretty impressive as well. I mean, look at that, 4.6 just in the ensemble mean as we go towards March 1st. So yeah, the storm train's returning here, the wet storm train back into the Pacific Northwest. GFS, let's time some of these systems and see if it shows any kind of big windstorm coming in here. There's not a bad load there. That's the one that was a bit windier on the European, so wouldn't be too worried about that one yet. We'll check back on that tomorrow and see if they come into some sort of agreement. And as we go on in towards the extended forecast, you see the GFS also has this atmospheric river looking feature out there as well. And the GFS not too bullish on any kind of big wind event here for the Pacific Northwest, but that can change on the drop of a hat. So we'll continue to watch that. 6 to 10 day above average West Coast here. As we go through February 24th, there's a 6 to 10 day. Look at that. Big dry signal across much of the lower 48, except for, kind of Washington, portions of Oregon. Pretty big mixed bag here. Sharp cutoff right across the region. We'll see how that trends. 8 to 14 day big yin and yang between west and east, above normal southwest flow. And then the 8 to 14 day shows something similar with the mixed bag here across some of the areas, but still above average for Washington and British Columbia. And also the snowpack there, we're still not doing too hot, but hopefully, this next system and we can start to build this back up as we go through the month of February. Fingers crossed for that. And again, check before you go. It's going to be snowing out there, especially picking up as we go through the afternoon, evening hours today. And for tomorrow, check avalanche.org and click on these individual areas before you go. It gives all kinds of good information. They give you a forecast discussion. They'll give you pictures of what's going on there in the slabs, and they talk about it. Really good information there. And the drought monitor, we talked about this yesterday. We did introduce some moderate drought across the Cascades. We're running a pretty good deficit precipitation-wise, and you can really see that here across some of Western Oregon, Western Washington since November 17th, for example. So yeah, interesting stuff there. But yeah, I'll kick this video out, and what else? We'll do this all again tomorrow. We'll break down all the systems. We'll see what's coming next, and I'll talk to you guys then.